Hello and welcome to episode 22 of the LiveFitNow podcast. I cannot believe that we are already on episode 22. It has been a fair few episodes since I've done a solo effort, but I have decided that it is time to do another one. And today I want to talk to you about habits, the importance of habits, building habits, and habits that you may want to consider if you're wanting to create balance and work towards general health, fitness and well-being goals. Before diving into that, I would like to firstly thank you for listening to this podcast. I started it hoping to be able to educate and empower people to be able to make their own choices for a longer, happier and healthy life. I have spoken to many super interesting people, all with their own experiences and expertise, who I feel have all left the listener with something practical or inspiring that they can take home and use in their own lives. I would love to hear if anything in particular has resonated with you. If there is something that you have done, changed or taken action on after listening to an episode, I would love to hear about it. So please do get in touch either on social media or you are more than welcome to drop me an email. So if you haven't already, please do take a second to hit the subscribe button. Not only will this mean that you will always be the first to find out when a new episode is live, it is such a great way to support the podcast. A reminder that all podcast episodes are also put on YouTube now. So if those of you prefer to listen to on YouTube, you are more than happy rather than coming to this podcast platform. There are so many topics that have already been covered, but there are so many more to come. And if you have any questions, topics, or individuals that you would like to hear covered in a future episodes, get in touch and let me know. So I want to introduce the idea of habits today, and based on my own personal experience of what I end up talking to people about a lot, and because it is absolutely the key of progress and results in every aspect of life. I'm sure we are going to return to this topic again, but let's dive into habits. So what are habits? Habits are the things we do perhaps every day or regularly. They are often automatic. You may consider them your routines. These words are often interchangeable, routines, habits, but they are often the smallest of things that can have the biggest impact on our lives. And by changing very small things can result in very different results. So I'm going to mention a couple of academics that have created some wonderful resources and have done lots of really interesting research on this area. The first is B.J. Fogg. So he created the Fogg behavior model with the axis of motivation and ability. The principle being, the easier a behavior, the more likely it will become a habit, even if motivation is low. In contrast, if something is hard to do, it becomes more challenging, and without high levels of motivation, it is unlikely to happen. So this is on a sliding scale of axis, motivation and ability. He also believes that behavior happens when motivation and ability and a prompt converge at the same time. So all of these things need to converge at the same time. So why is it important to know? Well, people talk about goal setting all of the time, and I find the bigger the changes trying to be implemented, the harder it is to achieve. If you look at the goal and see all of the smaller things that make the result, it is far easier and more manageable to tackle. So I'd really recommend starting by identifying your own daily or regular habits. So perhaps for a day, write down every little thing that you do. Really become aware of all the little moments of the day, all the things you do, all the activities you do, the moments of time. Are there any particular habits that are helping or hindering you from achieving your ultimate goals? So there are a few ways and things to think about in regards to the habit. There is a combination of ideas, and I guess the premise behind the ultimate thing is you're trying to often stop some habits and start new habits. So James Clear, another academic who talks often about habit building, He believes that you need to try and make it as difficult as possible to carry out the habit. It needs to be unattractive, it needs to become invisible, it needs to be hard, and it needs to be unsatisfying. And this can help aid the stopping of those habits that you no longer want to have. On the flip side, he summarises that if you're trying to start a habit, we need to make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. So try and make it as easy as possible to complete the habit that you're trying to achieve. There's another method of trying to figure out a way of how to do this, and it can be habit stacking. So think of a habit you do every day and link the new habit with that habit that already automatically happens. So success is a big part of creating new habits. The change leads to success, and the success will wire your brain to want to keep doing it. So for example, when people come and train with me, they start by working out, and that one change will often lead to other changes because they feel good for meeting that first thing. They've walked through the doors and they've started to work out. So working out may mean that they start drinking more water, taking more steps, taking the stairs rather than the lift, eating better. They're changing the choices they make. The one single change of walking through the door into my gym and coming to the gym and starting to work out allows them to start changing their identity. They become that person who is going to work out, who's going to take care of themselves, who's going to feel better because they've done something good for themselves. It's the one change that leads to other changes, and that is how you can create and form this new identity for yourself. You have chosen, but by focusing on one tiny thing, one habit to start with. Trying to create success on one little thing in order to then allow all the other things start to listen and take place, not because you decide to make those changes, but because they happen as a result of starting to change your own thought patterns and identity as being a person that takes care of themselves and have healthy habits. So a really good place to start is to find something you like. So for a lot of people, walking is a really great place to start. Or just trying to focus on increasing how much you move during the day, another really good starting point. Something you are quite happy to try and do. Something perhaps like dancing, just dancing around your kitchen. It doesn't have to be a big thing. If you can get some sort of joy from the thing, you can celebrate the fact you've moved. Getting yourself to move more can be then sparked from the smallest of things, and something that perhaps you didn't even realise was exercise, but because you love it, again, it's triggered by that first small thing that helps you to start becoming that person that you want to be. You're creating that identity. You are starting to take care of yourself. And success breeds success. If you can create it from the smallest of things that you want to do, it makes it so much easier to start doing the other habits to build on that success and working towards some of your ultimate bigger goals. So a key to behaviour change success is realising it is not a rigid structure. That is not a requirement. There's not a single thing that has to necessarily be done to be considered successful. If you can be fluid with how you can hit those success quotas, it will stick for the long term. For example, you may want to move more. One day you might do lots of walking. One day you might be dancing all night. Another day you might be going to the gym. Because I don't have to do one particular thing, you are ticking off that success in the quest to move more. Because if you have just a general goal of being fitter and healthier and living a more active life, it doesn't have to mean going to the gym every day. It doesn't have to mean walking every day. All those things may be a part of it, but the quest is to move more. The thing is more likely to stick because flexibility with your habits allows you to continue to have those feelings of success. You're not getting those feelings of failure. So if you are ready to evolve, this is going to allow you to continue to move forward with your goals. Because it's going to start by having a time and a place for each thing. Linking it, as I said before, habit stacking, linking it with something else that's already happening is a fantastic way to start creating those positive feelings towards the habits that you want to have within your day. But what can happen is it then becomes something that doesn't have to be done at an exact time. You can be flexible and you can move it to a different time of day, and then you're finding yourself once again just reaching towards that goal. So being flexible and adapting your goals is the best way of moving forward and making healthy habits for life. So something to ask yourself is, how can you make yourself feel really good for accomplishing the tiny habit goal? And I really do mean tiny. You brush your teeth, you stand on one leg for 5 seconds, you turn the kettle on and you do 2 press-ups. It can be tiny, but you have chosen that tiny habit goal. But you need to have some sort of celebration, a positive moment that links with the habit. So once you've done something, however small it may be, you have to congratulate yourself, feel good, and then you can build on that positive feeling. Particularly think about this if there's a habit you've not managed to create previously. If you have a feeling of dread or really disliked a gym experience in the past, your brain is not going to want you to do it again. So you need to either try something different or create a positive feeling linked towards working out. It needs to be something that makes you feel good and say, yes, I had a great workout. You may have done a 5-minute workout at home. You are becoming someone who likes to work out. You will start to feel positively when you think about working out. Success is very much linked with the feeling of positivity. So if you can make yourself feel as positive as possible in the early days of trying to build a habit, your brain is going to become wired to think good things when those habits are completed. And our brains want to feel good. Something else that plays a big part and is very often blamed for the failure of a new habit: motivation and a lack of willpower. So motivation may lead you to make the decision in the first place, that thing that you want to do. But if it's not automatic, that habit, if it's not become autopilot, but if you set it up in such a way that it is really easy to do on those days that even if you really can't be bothered, it's so easy to do, there's every chance you're going to do it. So it's really great to know that your motivation won't always be there, but you have figured out a way to make it easy so it still happens. So please remember this. Motivation will not always be there. It is unreliable, but it is not a problem. It will go up and then down. That is the natural way of motivation. But that's not to say you cannot change habits for life. Identify the habits, figure out where to put them in your day by making it super easy. Be prepared to test different times of day to find the best fit. And you will see your success start changing your identity. I can't wait to hear about your most important habits. Get in touch and let me know what you do. Take control. You can create the habits and identity you want. You just have to start. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. As always, I would love to hear from you. You can email hello@livefitnow.co.uk or message on any of the Live Fit Now podcast social media channels. I would love it if you could share your favourite episodes with your friends and family, in person or on social media, and you can rate and review the podcast to help spread the message too. Thanks again, until next Thursday.